All right, thank you so much, Emily. I am excited about this one. Educational hydroponic systems have been something that has been so great to see students engage, enrich their understanding of plant science, and challenge themselves with new ways to look at growing. And it's just been a wonderful place to really see education at work and hands-on learning at work. So excited to get started here today with you. I'm excited for everyone that is joining us today. And just to kind of get started with this, a few things, a few reminders for us. If you do have questions, there is a chat section here where you can click on that and ask any questions that you have. If I miss them, we will have a question and answer session at the end. So feel free to put those questions in there, and we will be happy to answer those as we go through this process. So glad everyone is here with us today. And let's get started today with our focus on really looking at hydroponics and how they fit in the 21st century classroom. So as we get started, let's remember the great thing about hydroponics is that you have to keep your distance. From plant to plant, you need to make sure you keep your distance. And as we get back into schools, it's exciting to be able to see and hear and hope that we'll be back able to be there as well. So a few things to kind of start out with. This is something that we have focused on and worked with, is teaching with harvesting in mind or harvest in mind. And so we just use the word plant and want you to be thinking about some of these things as we talk through today. You know, first one is participation is key. We at Realityworks are huge advocates for hands-on learning, for innovative learning tools that help your students through activities. So participation, getting your students involved. And that's a great piece about hydroponics, is that this is something that we have seen and talked to different instructors where they do everything from have the students, plant the seed to harvest, and they have to be participating and active in it. And so we really see the importance of that and how great this is for getting students involved. The next one is the L, leave space for challenges and creativity. One of the great features and one of the things that we see using these products for and using hydroponics is that it is going to challenge some of your students. They are going to have to learn new ideas, have different understanding of planting without dirt. And we have a great teacher who uses our hydroponic systems from Louisiana. And Jennifer talks about how, the kids ask her, how are we going to do this without dirt? What is that going to be like? And it's one of those things where it opens their minds to new ways to do things. So love to see that. And then have creativity, have your students be able to plant different types of plants that maybe they had never thought that they would even knew what they were, and watch the creativity flow. Another thing that we're really big about is adding new resources, not only with our products of hydroponic educational systems, but we have infographics, we have webinars, we have subject matter experts who have used this, we have guides. We want to help bring new resources to you. And then with those resources, we believe it helps to nurture new learning opportunities. Being able to bring that in your classroom and have students be able to interact, which leads to teaching the fun. When you teach the fun, learning is so much more enjoyable. Classroom management seems to be easier, and it's something that is relatable and brings your students every day and gets them excited about being and engaged about being in your classroom. So I want to talk first about what we call the 4 R's of hydroponics. In this case here, the right source is something that we focus on in our user guide. We talk about the types of crops that you can use, the types of nutrients that you need to be able to grow a product that is helpful. The right time, applying nutrients when the crops need it. It's also of when do you grow, and we're going to talk about that because the great thing about hydroponics is the right time. Usually whenever you talk hydroponics and what we talk about hydroponics, it's not the seasons anymore, because with hydroponics you can grow it anytime, anywhere. that you have the ability to have a light source, be able to have air movement, and then have the right nutrients. But it's not a season where, and not a seasons anymore. So the right time is any time. And that's something we'll talk about as well. And then the right rate, the right amount of nutrients. So now all of a sudden you get into STEM, and we talk about that a lot, about how doing different measurements, doing different checks on pH and EC, or your electro connectivity, and being able to check those things and saying, do I need more or less nutrients? Do I need more water added? Is the water enough? How much evaporation is going on? All these things bring about great STEM awareness for your classroom. And then the right place. And in this case, a lot of times when you talk about the right place with hydroponics, any place is the right place. And we have people growing in Alaska. We have people growing in Arizona. We have people growing in Florida and Maine, all over the United States, all over the world. You can grow wherever you are able to set up a hydroponic unit. So the right place is in your classroom, or in your lab area, or in your greenhouse area. And we want to help you get started with that. So one of the things that we like to show is some of the main reasons for hydroponics. So we're going to start out with 5 key reasons for hydroponics. Now, this is a great feature for you to work with your students and talk to them about what is different about hydroponic growing. Not only from a soil management, from a plant science management, from a culinary world, from a resource availability, but there's a lot of different things. And the first thing we always talk about is space. In many locations, there's not always enough space for you. In a lot of our schools, you don't have extra room because you're already using it all up. And the great feature about our products is that they are shelving unit type hydroponic systems. So we go up instead of going out horizontally, we go vertical. And this includes those of you who have greenhouses. We have seen, and I have been in a lot of different greenhouses where educators will show me their greenhouse, and they are beautiful greenhouses, but they are full of all the plants and using the soils and things that the greenhouses use, and they don't have a lot of room. Where they do have room usually is going vertical, going up. And so in this case, you can put our systems in greenhouses. You can put them against a wall. We have a lot of schools who like to put them out in their hallways because they want students to see the growth and ask questions and going. So with hydroponics, you don't need a ton of space to be able to grow. And we have many different options in growing capabilities. So what fits you is really the question you need to ask, no matter the type of space you have, because with limited space, you can still grow a lot of different plants. The next one is that it is a clean and it is efficient. Hydroponic farming is very clean. So if you are in a culinary classroom, you're in an ag classroom, you're doing it in a middle school, elementary, high school, wherever you are, it is a clean type of growing. So you don't have the dirt that can get on the ground. You don't have other chemicals. You do use nutrients, but it is a very clean and effective way to grow plants. So the other piece of it is that the efficiency and being able to be effective in growing plants. One of the great things about hydroponics is that it takes away what a kind of a key term and a big buzzword is biosecurity. One of the things in this world with things like biosecurity is there's also this thing of how much water are you using? How much, and I should say not just biosecurity, but also sustainability. How much water are you using? How much different kinds of nutrients do you need? Can you reuse that? Is it something that, you flush it down and you can't use it again? And those are all pieces of the puzzle where you can use and kind of reuse your water over and over again. And then the other piece of this puzzle is where can you grow? And again, like I said already, is you can grow it anywhere. We have people who grow hydroponics in warehouses with no windows whatsoever. So you can be in a dark room and still grow hydroponics as long as you have grow lights and you are able to give a wind variable, the light it needs, the sunlight it needs, and then also the nutrient it needs, and you have that water source. So we have people who can grow them. If you don't have room in your classroom, you could grow them in a basement of the school building and still be able to grow great and harvest great plants. And so that ability to be able to go to different areas. And then we also have it where a lot of times we have teachers in the northern part of the United States where they want to grow in the school year. Well, a good amount of the school year is during the winter months. And so they can keep on growing and having fresh fruit and vegetables at that time. In the summer or the spring sometimes too, in the southern months, it can be very hot. And so growing outside, bringing it into the classroom can be very helpful. Another piece of this is this, and kind of going back to this food shortages, this biosecurity and growing issues. Being able to have your hydroponic systems either in your classroom or in a place that you can control the variables can be very helpful and very enjoyable for your students, because they can start to see what the different variables are out there. So in many parts of the country, you have to focus on weather. If you have drought, if you have cold weather, if you have hot weather, if you have not enough water, those all become issues. And you can see across the world and around the world where food shortages come into play. In our case, you can grow anywhere and under any conditions. You don't have to worry about if it's a nice day or not. That all will be taken care of. Next thing here is increasing the growth rates and the time to harvest. So one of the things that's great about hydroponic systems is that by using this focus, you can actually increase the amount of time, decrease. So decrease amount of time and increase the harvest in that case. So the more you have with hydroponics, we have seen a 5 to 10 day reduction in the amount of time to harvest. So if you're doing lettuce and it takes 35 to 45 days, we've seen it as low as 28 days to grow lettuce because of how you do it hydroponically versus natural growing. And then finally here, learn and experiment with new ways to grow. Allow your students to see just different ways. Still grow with soil and see how it works. See how hydroponic works and have them challenge and try new things. The great thing about our hydroponic systems is if you're growing things every 28 to 30 days, that's every month, you could be growing multiple different types of foods throughout the year. So with this being said, let's talk about some reasons for hydroponics. And this is where I'm going to start getting into talking to you about some opportunities that you can create in your own classroom, start getting you to think about what your classroom might look like as we go through this. So as we just kind of said, some of the best benefits: it saves time, speeds up grow time, it can help eliminate chemicals, increase food security, and there's less water being used. Now, other pieces here that we kind of walked through already is going through and asking the question about what are those places that we can get started. And in this case here are the main things that you need in a hydroponic system. And again, we'll talk about the Realityworks educational hydroponic systems towards the end, but I want to kind of get you thinking about what do you need and then how it works in your classroom. Main things that you need: lights, fans, and water pumps. When you're doing and focusing on hydroponics, you need to have grow lights so it grows the plants. Those are special, red and blue light spectrum lights that is going to help grow your plants. You need fans, those fans to strengthen the plants themselves. So you need that wind variable. So as they grow, instead of them flopping over without that, they get stronger by the stress that is put on them, and they grow upward by those fans. And then water pump, you need to actually be able to circulate the water so that nutrients that you put in the water will move and go to the roots of the plant. Those are the main three things that you need for the hydroponic system itself. Then for you as an instructor, you can pick the seeds that you want to put in. The nutrient is something where you can work with your students to have more nutrients, less nutrients, depending on what you're looking for and what you want them to experiment with. Because we've had that, and a great experiment, that project for your students is to do kind of a fast, slow. And what I mean by fast, slow, and a great feature of this is have them put extra nutrients in to see more nutrients, does it grow faster? Less nutrients, does it grow slower? Now, what you could also do is look at and do kind of a height or a harvest weight, and have them challenge them and say, how much can we grow in this certain amount of time? And look at, is it because of more nutrients or less nutrients? Now, a little tip for those of you who haven't done this before is nutrients sometimes can be very helpful, or it can harm the plant if there's too much of it. It can burn it out. And so you have to be careful with that. And that's a great learning opportunity for students. So first thing we always say is do your research, learn what's available. And you're on this call and you're hearing this webinar today. So you're learning about our products here and what and how they could fit in your classroom. Again, think about your space limitations and the outcome you want to accomplish. Now you see this visual here. You could have them in your classroom growing. So students, every time they come in your classroom, they can see it. You could have people working and checking them every day, doing height measurements, checking to see how the water is, the pH balance, all those great things. You could put it out in the hallway for other students to be interested in and bring their attention to your classes as well. Now, in this case, create a plan. What you see in the visual here is we have some opportunities for you and ways that we will help you as you grow. If you're a beginner grower, a lot of times lettuce and kale are great starter plants for you to start with, because one, they're very hardy, they're easy for your students to grow. Usually you can't kill them all that much. So great ones to start if you're starting out. Now, if you've had hydroponics and you're doing this and you want your students to get a little bit more challenging, you go to things like peas and jalapenos and green beans. Those are all things that, again, take a little longer time usually in the grow process and are a little harder to grow because there's variables that could come in, and sometimes they don't always do well depending on how well you use your nutrients or the water or the light, things of that nature. And then we have your advanced tomatoes, cucumbers, radishes, things that are a little harder, but also can be grown hydroponically. So allowing your students to try to work through and figure that out. So create a plan of what you're going to do, how you're going to harvest, what are the jobs that are going to be needed in that world. And then expect challenges and triumphs. We have had some great testimonials, and we have other webinars that you can watch that focus on some of those features. We have teachers who, their students, they get to harvest the vegetables and they make smoothies, they make salads, they get to eat what they have grown. They sell it to their school lunch programs. There are a lot of great triumphs that you can come in, as well as challenges. We have some teachers who have taught us, hey, the student who didn't grow anything, we learned as much as the student who did, because we learned what not to do, how to do it different, and they were charged up, ready to do it again and try again. And then learn from others. We have webinars that include other teachers who have used our product before. So go ahead and look at those webinars, and we can talk and share testimonials on how they have used it, as well as trying different types of plants as well. And then again, do it. Start the process. Create the space to grow and get working towards creating that space and how to create your own plant. Now, when we say do it, then the question probably comes to you of, okay, well, what am I going to do? How do I go about actually bringing this into my classroom, or what are some best practices? So we're going to walk you through that. Our hydroponic systems at Realityworks has curriculum that walks through all these different features for you. All of our curriculum focus on things like a focus, which is helping to capture the student's attention. We get into a learn, the presentation mode that you want to kind of present the learning and the doing, and then review, working on the key points and assessments that help in that learning process. All of this in our hydroponics can be seen and used. It is free. You can find it with our product. It comes with our product, but you can go and look through it ahead of time and see it as well. Some of the great examples here are PowerPoint slides that walk through the different type of hydroponic systems, from deep water culture to ebb and flow to a drip system, the NTF, nutrient film technique, and then also aeroponics and aquaponics, showing there are other ways to do it, not just hydroponically, but also other ways to grow with water. So in this case here, all of this comes with specific slides, specific curriculum that helps you as the teacher walk through students how to grow, and then gets you started in actually doing the growing. Now, what we offer here and how you can then use it and get and be involved and get started in your classroom and bringing it into your classroom is we have 3 different options for you. We have our plant producer, our plant lab, and our plant mini, or our 5-pack of miniature hydroponic systems. And so each one of them comes with their own opportunity for your students. So when we look at these different options, our plant producer is a focus of 3 different shelves, but it has 1 water source. So it all has, you can, the water source goes through every single shelf or plant system here. And so the same nutrients is going to all the different plants. So you can change out different plants, or you can produce a lot of the same type of plant. This also has automation included. So you could turn on the fans, turn them off. You could have them for different time periods. You can have the lights go on for a certain amount of time or less amount of time. That is all automated for you. You can program it in. There are also 42 total plant sites in this product. So it allows you to be able to grow a lot of different or a lot of product all at one time. And that's kind of that production mode product. Then we have our plant lab system. Now this has, again, 3 separate shelves, but you have separate growing platforms. Every single shelf on the plant lab allows you to be able to grow and has its own water bed. So then you can put different nutrients for different plant needs. So you can have 3 different shelves of different types of plants and growing. And so you can kind of have a laboratory trying different things here with the plant lab, or you can have it all the same. Again, like the plant producer, the plant lab is also an ebb and flow system, allowing water to come in and flow through and then move back out and go through and get the roots, all the nutrients to the roots in that world. In this case, it has 33 plant sites, or 11 per tray, as there are 3 different trays here. So you can then kind of go into more experimentation with this world. And then we have our plant mini. This is our 5-pack. And this comes from our instructors saying, hey, we want students to be able to group up and have their own unit to be able to do that. Or each class, as I have different classes, be able to grow different things. And so these are tabletop models, smaller plant hydroponic systems with the same light system, with the same fan system. And you can put nutrients in each individual one. The difference here is that it focuses on 3 different types of hydroponic growing. So you can grow microgreens. You can have a deep water hydroponic system. And we also have a tank for the ebb and flow system. So you just switch out the ebb and flow, the deep water, or the microgreen systems. So in this case, you get 5 separate ones, each one having 12. So you have 60 different plant sites that you could actually grow different or all the same types of plants in this world. So want to talk just a little bit in that world. Again, looking at the 21st century classroom here, want to see other resources that can enhance your program. So want to just quick and talk about, if you have greenhouses, these are great features to be able to bring into your greenhouse. At the same time, it's something where there might be other things that you want to include to be able to help your classroom and focus in on different growing techniques. So we have a plant science kit that focuses on all the different needs that you have from just how plants grow. So you could start with this kit. It brings in your flashcards, it brings in models, it brings in posters, it gives you a curriculum that focuses on all the different focuses of plants. So before you even get into hydroponics, you may want to start with a plant science kit to kind of get students to understand what photosynthesis, respiration, transpiration is, all those different things before you start doing the focus there. Again, comes with worksheets and different PowerPoint slides. All the curriculum is there for you to focus on. Now, for some, especially in the ag world or growing world, we also have our corn stalk model. The interesting piece and why I include this here is that the corn stalk model is a model of a corn stalk. So it hits other areas if you are working in plant science and growing. But what it focuses on as well is not only plants, but it also focuses on the deficiencies or the problems that happen with corn stalk. Now, some of these same deficiencies you might see in the hydroponic world or in the greenhouse world. So it talks about not only the growing of corn, but it also talks about what problems could happen and then how to correct those problems. You might see some of that within hydroponics as well. And lastly, if you're in the greenhouse world, if you are wanting our hydroponic systems for that world, we also have a greenhouse insect kit. These are magnified, so 10 times the size of an actual insect here, for the focus of showing the issues and what they look like. So they are magnified, but it allows you to be able to see and get a hands-on understanding of different greenhouse insects that can cause problems if you have a greenhouse, or if you're using hydroponic system. Some insects may come around and cause some problems. So it talks to your students and helps your students to understand what they are, and then how to correct the issues that could be there, the damage that they do, and how to take care of that damage. Also, something just to add for you here, this is a cool online resource here. And this comes from, the idea that I said of teaching the fun. There's a cool little free online game called Nutrients for Life. And this is something where this online game, Nutrients for Life right here, there's other games too, but the Nutrients for Life game is really fun because it talks about the different nutrients that you use, and it correlates right with your nutrients that you're going to use in the hydroponic system. So a great resource for you to have as well. So also, as we are going to be saying this, we have our hydroponics infographic that we will be sending to you that you can then use and get a better understanding of as well. All right. With that said, we have a few minutes left for some questions. It looks like our Emily has been helping with some of these questions. So we're getting some of those. Another great resource for you as we go into and answer some of these questions. It is something where our website, which we'll also put in the chat area here, realityworks.com, or I guess you can see it down the bottom there. You can go there and you can see and get much more information there. So with that said, if you have questions, feel free to ask them, and then we will answer those as well. Emily, do you have any questions that you see that I maybe had missed?
Hey, Jamey, do you just want to go over, I know you mentioned the hydroponics guide. Do you want to go over everything that everybody will be receiving after the webinar?
Yeah, great call. So some of the things that you'll get is we have an infographic for you. The other piece of this is we are recording this, so we will send this to you as well. And then we have the link so you can see the curriculum. So if there's interest in that curriculum, you can go and see that curriculum. And then we also have kind of the resources where you can go and see other webinars that are focused on hydroponics, because we want to give you resources that you may have and need. I think that's kind of all of them. If I missed any, please feel free to chime in, Emily.
Yeah, and then we did just get a question that came in is when insects and pests show up, how are they dealt with? Is that taught with our greenhouse insects?
Yeah, great question. That's the cool thing about that product is it goes through what they are, but then it also asks how they're dealt with, like you just said. Now, you can use chemicals. Sometimes you can add another species of insect to take care of that. There are different ways to go about it. Sometimes just an insect strip that will, after a while, they'll be collected and they'll be gone. So it gives lots of different options on how you want to do it. Some are very, I'm going to say organic in the sense of there's, no chemicals. Some are, yep, you could add this chemical and then that could take care of it. So it gives you lots of different ways to find what the insect is, what the problem is, and then how to take care of it or eliminate it. Mhm.
Perfect. And then Jamie, do you want to put up the slide that shows the prices of all three of our units?
Sure thing. I'll just flip back here through our PowerPoint here. There you go, right there. So yeah, so our plant producer, again, comes with curriculum, and this is a great kind of thing too, is we give you a starter kit in this case, where you get the seeds to start, you get the curriculum, you get the instructor guide, all for you. So then you can go out and you can start your growing. So plant producer is $19.99. Plant Lab, again, gets all the curriculum, all that to help you get started, $11.99. And then our 5-pack of plant minis are $19.99.
Perfect. And then do the nutrient solutions wear out to the point where you need to replace them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So nutrients is something that where you can buy, and we don't actually ship nutrients because of the shipping issues with nutrients. You can buy that though. It's very simple to buy. Local greenhouses, local stores, also Amazon and any type of online. There's lots of ways you can get it, but we give in our curriculum and in our instructor guide, we give the ratios that you should be trying and using. And then with that, it's something where, yeah, after a while, the nutrients is all used up. And as you grow your plants, starting out, usually you don't have to add nutrients maybe once a week. As your plants get bigger, they're taking in more nutrients. So then you will be checking, and then you'll have to add nutrients, twice a week, to the point where right before you're ready to harvest, you're probably adding nutrients maybe 2 or 3 times a week because the nutrients is being used up by the plants to grow. And so you do have to add and use nutrients. The great piece about it is for each one of these, if you buy a jug, if you want to say, or a pint of these, or what they come in, you don't have to usually, we haven't seen the need to replenish very often within a school year. After a full school year, you might need to get a new one for the next year, but it's once you get these, for the year, it usually lasts for the year. That's kind of what we have gotten feedback from our customer base.
Perfect. And then another question that came in is, do we have some kits for beekeeping?
Oh, good question. We don't right now, but that is something we'll look into. We are always interested in new product ideas, and we don't have beekeeping kits, but might be something we can help out and bring forth.
Perfect. And then do we have any pamphlets or info that they can print out or download?
Yes. One of the great places here, and I'm going to stop share and then I'm going to reshare, is I'm going to go to our web page here. There we go. I think you can see here again, realityworks.com. And then we have under products, you go over to, it's in agriculture, and you can go in here and we have the hydroponics session here. You can also go to facts under culinary, you can find this, but in this case here, when you come in here, the very top, this green area, we have a hydroponics education implementation. And so if you click on that, it actually brings you in and you can see different videos. There's also a know how to grow, so a guide to get there. And we also have a free infographic there as well. So you can do that. There's videos that you can watch. There's different places that you can get. So that is a great resource for you to be able to use and to look and help you with getting started.
Perfect. And I did include that link in the chat if anybody wants to go directly there.
Awesome.
And then Jamie, if the curriculum is used for an engineering class, what are the new and innovations that students can do?
So if you use it for an engineering class, one of the great features of this is that I would say that this is an open-ended type of product, meaning that it's all about growing. So they can grow a lot of different types of plants. And I'm going to just move up in our PowerPoint slides here and just show again, we have some opportunities here from butternut lettuce, kale, sage, cilantro, ruby red lettuce, tomatoes, jalapenos, arugula, sugar peas. All those are different types of things that you can grow. There are more that you can grow. We have teachers who are trying different types of tomatoes. And again, from an engineering standpoint, they had to engineer how to make them to grow upwards instead of outwards, or maybe with cucumbers, how to grow. So with engineering, a lot of the engineering in this world is probably working through what you want to grow, looking at timelines. And again, with STEM, looking at, can you change some of the harvestability? So having a control group and say, okay, just, normal growth, how many days does that hit? With change in what you're doing, with a lot of different variables there, you could increase that time or decrease that time. We have some who they'll put a blanket, I guess, or some sort of sheet over the top of the plant lab. What does that do? That makes sure that all of the sunlight that the grow lights are putting on there, they are not getting lost in the room that they're in. It is all going on to those plants, and they have seen growth changes there. So there's a lot of different variables there in engineering to try to figure out, and kind of, I guess, more scientific method of figuring out things and trying to figure out what's going, and then kind of going through a design process of how do you want to do it? What's the best way to go about doing that?
Perfect. And Jamey, those games that you went over, do those need to be completed online, or can they be loaded into Canvas?
It is a online link. That is, so if you can put it in Canvas with that link, it's only a link. It's not a downloadable one. So it has to be through the link.
Perfect. And then how often do pH levels need to be checked, or is it as needed?
That's a great question. Our engineers here, our plant engineers that we've worked with, they will tell you, hey, check it once a week, maybe twice. But we've also seen, and we've talked to teachers and we've talked to our engineers, that at the same time, you can start, if you're looking at your plants every day or every other day, you start to see some changes in their growing patterns, in how they're looking, the health of the plant. All of a sudden, you can learn pretty quickly how often you need to check that. Now, in our guide, we also have all of that kind of spelled out of what our recommendations are. Again, the recommendations. So, checking your pH every other day, that's a great opportunity for students to be able to get some data collection, to do some of that kind of learning. But, once a week, usually you won't see plants dying if you at least do it once a week.
Perfect. And I'm not seeing any other questions coming through right now. I do want to remind everybody, we will be sending out a post-webinar email within 24 hours after the presentation. So definitely look in, check your spam mail if you don't see that. We will include a link to the PowerPoint slides, a copy of the recorded presentation we did today, as well as the hydroponics implementation page and the guide for you folks as well.
Yes, thank you so much for taking this time to hear about what we can do. And again, we are so excited about these products and how they can help education. So if you have more questions, feel free to connect with us. And I'm gonna go to the very end here, trying to show you all the way at the end here for our email address. And again, there we go. Any questions you have, you can call us or you can email us as well. So thank you very much for your time, and have a great rest of your day.